Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nerd Den here once again, and in today's video I am going to be responding to an article from The Guardian that are basically raising the question of if Doctor Who should be taken off air and is it time for Doctor Who to die. Now obviously Doctor Who has been running for a very long time now. It's been close to nearly 58 years, and the modern iteration of Doctor Who, sorry, I'm just trying to get myself in the light in there. But yeah, the modern iteration of Doctor Who has been running now since 2005, since the show came back after a long hiatus, and has been running successfully. But the viewing figures, and obviously the change in television viewing habits, such as BBC iPlayer and all the catch-up services, have changed. And a lot of people now don't watch live television, and that has kind of raised the question of if Doctor Who is dying. But let's have a look at what The Guardian are saying. Right, so here we go. This is from The Guardian. Exterminate, why it's time for Doctor Who to die. So here we go. 3 series is the usual tenure for an actor playing the Doctor. So there are rumours are rife. Rumours are rife that Jodie Whittaker is about to step down. And there's a few names listed here that we've already discussed on the channel of who could be playing the next Doctor. But again, yeah, it's not confirmed that Jodie is leaving. But what if, instead of a new Doctor, the show actually needs something a doctor might prescribe to an exhausted patient? A rest. The current run started in 2005, and even with such a flexible format as Doctor Who, there aren't many TV dramas that can sustain 13 series in 16 years. Call the Midwife is probably the best BBC attempt at that in the past decade. I'm not too familiar with that, so I can't really comment, but we move on. Soap operas can manage it, but then soap storylines generally don't revolve around such cataclysmic events such as the universe being destroyed. The whole television landscape has changed since Doctor Who made its return. The 2005 series wasn't even filmed in HD, and the iPlayer was still a couple of years away. The current iteration of the show is up against the giants of Netflix and Disney+. It isn't just the budgets and the production values of programs such as The Mandalorian or Loki that are upstaging Doctor Who, it's the storytelling. Something like WandaVision seems in a different league, and even taking into account COVID, with only 8 episodes expected in the delayed new season, the BBC's production page is glacial compared with its streaming rivals. Just as 70s Doctor Who looked cheap and wobbly beside blockbusters such as Star Wars, the show now suffers by comparison with Marvel television shows. There is also increasing story structure problem. When Russell T Davies revived the show, he was very clear in his pitch to BBC executives that this wasn't just TV about a 900-year-old Time Lord who could change their face. It was about 2 friends travelling through time and space, having adventures and righting wrongs. There is now 16 years of new lore, as well as all the stories from the 60s, 70s and 80s for fans to think about every time there is a new story. Failure to adhere to continuity of some throwaway line from the script 10 years ago will send legions of fans into a frenzy, taking to their social media and YouTube channels to shout about lazy writing. Sometimes it feels like the show is being buried under the weight of its own continuity. A gender swap of the role brought attention and initially high ratings, but viewership has since settled at much the same levels with Jodie Whittaker's predecessor Peter Capaldi. The decision to cast a woman as the Doctor has also meant the franchise has become a pawn in the culture wars, further soaring relationships in the fandom and making the social media posts of the show's creators and stars toxic to wade through. The series finales have also been increasingly grandiose over the years, but how many times can the Daleks be destroyed and then return? The Master/Missy be dead and then reappear with a new face, or the Earth being invaded but still have people acknowledge aliens? Okay, let's continue reading this. Yet, when the showrunner Chris Chibnall tried to lower the temperature slightly with the first series finale, which only featured a returning lesser-known villain threatening to destroy the Earth, it is widely panned as low stakes. And I do agree with that one. It feels as if over the 16-year run, the volume of story arcs have been gradually turned up. Yeah, so it's gradually been turned up and it can't be turned down now. That is something I do agree with. As someone who loved Tom Baker as the Doctor in the 70s, I have found the success of the 2005 revival wonderful to watch. But while Doctor Who looks better than it ever has, the sequences of the Cybermen marching through their battlecruiser towards the end of the last season was worth the price of admission alone. Everything around it feels tired. The ability to travel anywhere in time and space makes Doctor Who feel like a series that could potentially tell a million brilliant different stories, and Chibnall's innovation of the Timeless Child, meaning there are potentially dozens of guest star Doctor Who that we have never met before. But it does obviously opens up, new directions. But it feels as if it is close to telling a million brilliant different stories. Okay, it feels as if it is telling an increasingly self-absorbed meta-story about its own run, accompanied by a very vocal online fandom that isn't quite sure what it wants, but knows it doesn't want this. Maybe the BBC needs to try something other than carrying on. A break, a feature film, a co-production deal, an anthology series featuring familiar characters from the Whoniverse who aren't the Doctor. Anything other than slowly grinding out another couple of series formatted as if they were still in 2005. I have long resigned myself to the fact that I will never see every Doctor Who story ever, not just because some episodes from the 60s were wiped, but because they will make Doctor Who stories in books, comics, audios, and yes, television, long after I am dead. Pretty cool there. That's a nice take. At some point, TV will run by people who grew up with the excitement of first seeing Christopher Eccleston grab Billie Piper's hand and tell her to run in 2005, who remember David Tennant and Matt Smith and hiding behind the sofa from Weeping Angels when they were children. But maybe, in order for them to think reviving Doctor Who would be a brilliant idea, it needs to have another rest first. So that's the end of the article. Now I want to summarise a few things. Now I have seen a lot of angry comments online after this article has been posted. I think The Guardian have made a few controversial articles about classical films as well recently, such as Shrek. But yeah, in terms of reading the full article, I do agree that Doctor Who will need some kind of change up to its format. And again, sorry about the lighting, it's a temporary setup. But yeah, the Doctor themselves, yeah. The casting with Jodie Whittaker that has been brought up as well recently and has been controversial to some. I don't think that is an issue per se, but I think the format of the show needs to change. As it has been brought up in the article that we just read, Marvel have recently entered the TV show format with Disney Plus on the streaming service, and I feel like Doctor Who would benefit from moving away from live TV and maybe going on BritBox or something as like a weekly thing, and perhaps higher budget as well, that I know isn't easy to make happen because obviously money is everything and all that, but I do think the BBC need to put in some more money into the show, try and make it stand out compared to other television shows, because Doctor Who is failing to compete in that margin, because it's not just down to budget either, the storytelling as well, having like a long series arc but then having standalone stories. People like tuning in every week to see how one story arc continues, so you have all the episodes that tie into the story arc. So like WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they all have one continuous story arc, and I feel like Doctor Who would benefit from doing that. They've done it before with the Keys of Time, and Series 6 was story arc heavy, but we need to have a series of Doctor Who that runs pretty much as one continuous story, and I feel like that would work really well with Doctor Who. Now, in terms of co-production and stuff like that, maybe if Doctor Who partnered with Netflix or something like that, I don't know how I'd feel about that, because the last time the BBC collaborated with a company to work on Doctor Who, I believe, was 20th Century Fox, and that was for the TV movie that obviously does have its fans, but yeah, apart from that though, it was critically panned, and it was meant to serve as a pilot for an American Doctor Who television series that unfortunately didn't work out. But then we got the 2005 revival later on that obviously is making the conversation today. But yeah, in terms of having Doctor Who have a rest is something that I have been open for in the past. Not necessarily a full reboot, but in terms of taking a break and coming back with a new format and having more money behind it, I don't think it would hurt anyone. I think it would help Doctor Who, at least the television side of things, expand a bit more and be a bit more competitive with other rivals in that genre. But yeah, in terms of like the marketing and stuff like that, yeah, the television show marketing is a bit shit. I can't lie, it needs work. But in terms of, you know, all of the merchandise and stuff, there are loads of Doctor Who merch out there, and I think there's been some announced today as well. There's a nice revival with the Doctor Who toys as well. I used to collect when I was a kid, so it's nice to see Doctor Who toys and audios and stuff continuing on. So yeah, in terms of merch, Doctor Who is fine, but it needs to branch out now and maybe even have a cinematic universe. That'd be cool. Remember back in the day, we used to have Doctor Who, Torchwood, and the Sarah Jane Adventures, and then since then we've only had one spin-off that kind of failed, and that was Class. So we do need to see another attempt at, once we've got the main show fixed, in terms of, you know, getting a new format that is successful and is competitive with rivals in the genre, we could perhaps see new spin-offs that, you know, maybe go away from the science fiction genre or something like that. Maybe have some realism, more realism than the actual show does. But I guess we'll see what happens. But if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe for more nerdy content, as we are pushing towards 2,000 subscribers now, and I will see you all on my next video. Goodbye for now.